Episode 111 of the Interpretation Station is called to order. Welcome, everybody, or should I say, ahlan wa sahlan bikum to everyone. Today's episode 111 is a very special episode because the episode is going to be the recording of the Interpretation Station Sunday at 6 workshop that was held 2 days ago, and it was the first one ever for Arabic language speakers. Another historic occasion, as I like to say. I was fortunate enough to have partnering up with me for that occasion my colleague and friend, Mr. Mohammed Assi, senior staff interpreter at the UN. He was really the star of the show. But I also was joined by another special guest, and this special guest I wasn't expecting to appear. This was a sort of surprise treat for me, and for everyone who was able to attend. And by the way, there was about 80 people altogether attended. I received about 86 requests for invitations to come to the workshop. I was overwhelmed. I couldn't believe that many people wanted to come. I was very honored to have all of you with me. But yes, so the other star of the show was Mrs. Rasha Queen. I hope I've got her name, the pronunciation right. So Rasha, it was actually the former head of the Arabic booth at the UN in New York. So actually, while I was there, she was head of the booth. And she found out that I was holding the workshop, found out, I guess, that Mohammed was going to be there, and she asked if she could come along. And she made an invaluable contribution, as you will see during the workshop. It was great, I think, for everyone, for myself, for the students to be able to draw on some of her knowledge on all these topics. Now, one thing I forgot to do while Rasha was there, she mentioned she actually worked during the video, she mentions she works for a non-profit, and I should have asked her at the time the name to give her a bit of a plug. I forgot to do that, but I want to make up for that now, so I'm going to give her that plug now. So Rasha works, I'm going to share the screen so you can see, for a non-profit. You can go to their website. You can see it here. It's just VIP.fund, and let me just tell you a little bit about it. It's a women-led US-based non-profit crowdfunding organization for providing education to youth impacted by conflict in the Middle East. Okay, so I think it does a really noble job. Please do go and take a look at the site. Please do, she says, please do volunteer with us to help this great cause. So I think, for some of you guys that were attending, and for people who are watching, maybe there's something here that could be very much of interest for you. Apparently, some of the students who've gone through the program that they offer, they've actually found work in Silicon Valley, no less. So I really do encourage you to visit the site, see what's going on there. I'm going to leave the link in the description box below. Also in the description box, you'll obviously find the links to the statements that we did on Sunday, both of statement by President Abbas of Palestine and the statement by Ukraine on the situation in the Ukraine. That's all in the description box. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Please do. We're over 1,000 subscribers now, going really well. Just help us keep going. Spread the news of the Interpretation Station to all your friends. And look, I'll just shut up here and just let you watch the workshop. So here you go. Okay, we're recording. Okay, great. Ahlan wa sahlan, everybody. Welcome everybody to the first ever, as I say, Interpretation Station Sunday at 6 workshop for you Arabic speakers. I can't believe how many people have actually volunteered for this. It's really quite remarkable. It's great that you've all managed to make it. I know there's at least one of you who's down in Sydney. There's a guy that's among you that's in Sydney where it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Now that's real commitment, I say. Before we get started with the text, let me just explain to you how we're going to work it. I know a few of you have been to some of the previous workshops I've done for other languages. very straightforward. Me and Mohammed Asi, we've selected 2 texts that we're going to work on. We're going to do half, so it's going to be basically half and half. One is a text by Mohammed Abbas in Arabic, which we're going to be looking at how we would render that into English. Then we'll take a sort of short break about 6:45. And then we're going to do the second text. This is a completely different subject matter. It's a situation in Ukraine. I thought that's going to be, I thought that's a useful subject to be doing, because it looks like, I don't know, that's what the next war looks like it's going to happen. That's what everyone, well, the powers that be seem to have decided there's going to be a handy little war in Ukraine. So it's good to know all the subject matter for that. It's obviously going to be something that's going to be talked about at the big organizations, the media, and so on. So we're going to be looking at that in the second half of the show, and then maybe at the end, if there's like questions, maybe me and Mohammed can answer if any of your questions and things just generally. And that's pretty much how it's going to look. So before we actually start, I'd just like to, as I say, introduce my partner in crime for today's show, Mr. Mohammed Asi. Mohammed is my colleague at Geneva, at the UN in Geneva. Mohammed, just maybe if you could tell everyone in Arabic, you can tell them in Arabic, just introduce yourself, just tell them a bit of your background.
Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mohammed Asi. I am an Arabic interpreter at the United Nations in Geneva. And I'm not going to make a speech. I will, first of all, thank you all for being with us, for your commitment. I'm talking about our colleague speaking from Sydney. That is really touching. And we have 2 texts today, as Roland said. The first text that we're going to start with is a speech delivered by His Excellency President Mahmoud Abbas of the State of Palestine, delivered on the occasion of the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. That speech was delivered in Geneva. Actually, it was read by His Excellency, the Ambassador of Palestine to Geneva on behalf of President Abbas. So I will make a few observations concerning the texts we're going to work on, but I know that we will run into a few long sentences. Actually, that's
always the fun thing with Arabic, isn't it? Oh man, you like your long sentences.
In some cases, those paragraphs are intricate, delicate, and we will learn in accordance with the context how we deal with such long sentences that can be actually considered as paragraphs, I would say.
The way I want to work it, okay, the way I usually work it is, I'm going to ask for volunteers, okay? So you're perfectly welcome if you're feeling shy, just to sit and watch it, feel free. But also if you want to volunteer, we can sort of, give you some tips and things. That's what I'm looking for. So I suggest those who want to volunteer at some point, just put your hands up now, okay? And then once you've had your go, just take the hands down. But just so I can get an idea of who is wanting to volunteer, and then I'll just work my way through you.
Exactly. So it's going to be in the form of sight translation. We're not doing any simultaneous.
Exactly.
So,
but we're going to be looking at it as if we were doing simultaneous. This isn't translation. We're not doing translation.
This is not translation.
We're looking to from the point of view as if we were approaching it as interpretation. I see we have also with us today Rasha, who is the former head of the Arabic booth in the UN in New York. She has been kind enough to join us today. I don't know if you can hear me, Rasha. If you want to say hello.
It's an honor for me to join.
Oh, Rasha. Well,
hi, how are you, everybody?
Ahlan. As a matter of fact, I mean, it is a great honor. It is a great honor for all of us, for me
Thank you very much,
Rasha,
for joining
to have you with us. I mean, Rasha is the former head of the Arabic booth in UNHQ in New York. And believe me, guys, she is the example to follow in our profession. I had the honor to work under her guidance for 2 years in UNHQ. And well, thank you, Rasha, for accepting to be with us. You are the
Truly
example
humbled.
to follow
I'm
in this
truly
profession.
humbled. You're very, very sorry. I really
All
don't
right.
think I deserve all that
You
accolade,
do,
but
you
thank
do.
you. But thank
You
you.
can't believe how pleased I am to see you after all, this time. Anyway, so as I said, I am going to make a few observations in accordance with the context of the text that we are working on. And since this is a workshop, and without further ado, let's start.
Let's get started. Okay, so I can see I've got so far of the volunteers. Let's see what I find. I saw Mohammed Badreddin Al-Feki volunteer. How are you, Mohammed? Mohammed has been to some of the previous interpretation station workshops. He came for the French. Was it a bit of Russian you had, Mohammed, didn't you? Let's begin. Let's start with you, okay? You can see the text, I trust, on the screen, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can.
Okay.
Yes, I can. Okay.
So, do you want to get us started? I think we can skip the first, the niceties, all the different people that he's addressing, except maybe we start. Can you see with my mouse?
Yeah. I start from there.
Start from there if you could.
Okay. Your Highness, Mr. Shane Young, the president of the committee that is associated with applying the rights of the Palestinian people that are non-negligible. Your Highness, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop you there. I'm just going to stop you there, Mohammed. Okay, because I think so. You need to get this the name of this this committee properly. Okay, so Mohammed, maybe you could just
all right. So
tell us exactly.
It is the Committee on the Exercise of the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people.
Okay.
Okay. And this committee gets referred to a lot. So,
yes.
And that expression, isn't it?
So,
the I mean, this is something you hear all the time. The inalienable
rights. Okay.
Sometimes if you want, I mean, okay, so here you really need to use the word inalienable. If you get that expression, it's in other contexts, it's good to have another word for inalienable, like sort of non-negotiable. Mohammed, would you say that's a good?
I mean, I would say inalienable. That is
right.
That is,
Specifically
that is the
inalienable.
term that is used in this context.
Okay.
That's the name of the committee anyway.
Okay, Mohammed, do you want to carry on?
Okay. I carry on.
Yes, please.
Do a little bit more.
Your Highness, ladies and gentlemen, I would like at the very beginning, on my name and on behalf of the Palestinian people, to express my gratitude and thanks to all of those who believe in our historic case and its core around the world, and to all peoples who have expressed their solidarity with the Palestinian people and who have supported its legitimate struggling and have witnessed its perseverance in the land of.
Should we just stop there at that comma? Mohammed, should we just stop at Shirai? Okay.
Yes, in Nidali Shari. Can we hear somebody else?
Oh, you want someone else to give an alternative?
Please.
Oh, okay. Well, how about?
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Thank you very much.
Yarob,
yes.
Do you want to give your version as well?
Yes.
In the beginning, in my name and in the name of the Palestinian people, I would like to express my thanks and gratitude to all who have believed in the rightfulness of the Palestinian historical cause and its importance around the world, and to all people that have expressed their solidarity with the Palestinian people and supported its rightful struggle.
Okay, Mohammed, so do you want to make any comments?
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, you all said in the beginning, in the context of our work for the United Nations, most of the time we use at the outset. But at the outset, first of all. But when you say first of all, you need to say second of all and things. But when you say at the outset, this is actually very common among speakers at the United Nations, whether here in Geneva or New York. You said in my name and in the name of the Palestinian people. That's not bad at all. You could have said in my name and on behalf of the Palestinian people.
I think that sounds nicer. Yeah, that example, in my name and on behalf of the
on behalf of the Palestinian people. I would like at the outset, here you can say, you're not really obliged to say at the outset as it is in the paragraph. You say in my in my name and on behalf of the Palestinian people, I would like at the outset to, no matter what you say, thank you, gratitude, etc. You could say wholeheartedly, thank all those around the world. So it is حول العالم. When it say حول العالم, it's not the historicity of the cause or its centrality that is around the world. We're talking about people around the world who believe in the centrality and the justice of our historic cause.
Cause, right? Not case. One of you said case. So it's
is
very
people
much you talk
around
about the Palestinian
world.
cause.
You see, it's not the centrality around the world, but it is people, those who believe, who around the world believe in the historicity or in our historic cause and its centrality. So it's not the centrality around the world. He is thanking people around the world. So, and then he says, you could also say, my thanks also go. You could say
break
that.
it up, start a new sentence,
yeah,
right?
And you stop there, full stop, instead of going. These are, you know. This
So
is
here,
sentences,
so here we're talking, right,
the
Mohammed?
the long sentences that can that can sound like a whole paragraph. So
is that where you're
full
talking
stop,
about, Mohammed? To split? Can you
exactly,
see my annotation,
you split.
right?
When you see a long paragraph, you split it. You try to split it where there is a full idea, a clear idea. When you're sure that the idea is there, you put a full stop and you start a new paragraph again, either by repeating what you said at first. I also thank, for example, or my thanks also go to, let's say, peoples or nations, okay, who express their solidarity with the Palestinian people and supported their legitimate struggle. Muhammad, it's not struggling, because struggling can mean something else. You're struggling with something that you have a difficulty doing it. The struggle, it's the struggle of the Palestinian people. And you once said, what is this? The rightfulness, the rightness. What is it?
For this
cause. Rightful cause.
Rightful. So you could say legitimate. Legitimate is not a bad word. What do you think, Rasha?
Sure.
Legitimate struggle, and have been. And what else? كل الشعوب التي عبرت عن تضامن وأيدت. Okay, we stopped at the
we stopped there. So maybe I'll give the floor to Hiba.
Hiba, what? Okay, please go ahead.
To the second part, to the rest of this paragraph.
Yes.
Okay. So I continue as if in the middle of the sentence.
Yeah, starting from الشرعي.
Okay.
Yeah,
and witnessed its determination and resilience in the occupied Palestinian territories, at the heart of which lies Jerusalem. The world also witnessed the struggle of our people and their suffering in refugee camps in the nation and in diaspora.
Okay, that is not bad at all.
I like that resilience. Is that what you usually go for as well, Mohammed? For
I wouldn't say in the nation. I wouldn't say in the nation. I would
say steadfast.
Use homeland. I would use yes. I would use inside and outside our homeland. Inside and outside. Inside and outside Palestine, where
at
Palestine
home
is
and
not
abroad?
mentioned here.
At home
Can
and
we say
abroad.
diaspora?
At home or abroad.
Can we say
the
diaspora?
You could say use a shatat, the diaspora. All right.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any other?
So, can I just, so Mohammed, someone said for
Shatat?
something for sumudihu. So someone
okay,
said
sumud.
steadfastness. That was actually the word
Yeah,
when I was
would say
preparing
steadfastness
this.
too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So diaspora is also right.
Yeah, diaspora is also right.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
At home or
Can we say
in the
attesting
diaspora.
instead of witnessing?
What? Sorry.
Shahadat,
Can we say
right?
attestings instead of witnessing?
Attesting to the
Attesting
witness.
Yeah.
is fine.
That sounds good
Yes.
to me as well, doesn't it? As a good, as a synonym. Let me see. Was there anything else? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's. And so a good word. Yeah. So that's samudi. I just noted for English, a couple of other words that are sort of similar to resilience, steadfastness. So their tenacity is a word that you'll hear. I mean, okay, you might not be able, that might not come to you when you're going into English, right? You'll hear that word tenacity coming from when you're working into Arabic. So it's a good
Okay.
word just to know, just to be able to recognize, okay?
I would personally suggest, please go back to الشرعي لو سمحت, to the to the other paragraph.
Clear.
Yeah, الشرعي. I would stop. I would put a full stop after شرعي.
Here, okay.
Yeah, بعد الشرعي بتوقف عند الشرعي, ببدأ الجملة جديدة وشهدت على عزيمته. نحن نتحدث عن هنا كما وشهد العالم. سوري. بعد القدس وفي القلب القدس كما وشهد العالم. بعد القدس احنا وصلنا إلى هذا القدس. Yes, we did. نتوقف عند القدس, بنقول the world. بعدها the world, we start with the world either has been witnessing or has been witness of, okay, the people, our people's struggle and suffering in the refugee camps, inside and outside our homeland, or at home, or in the diaspora. So I would stop
one
at the
question
Quds.
for you, Mohammed. Can I ask you a question here?
Yes.
So I remember when we were in New York, and
Yes.
we were told at the time, it was when, for example, Algeria was speaking, or Morocco, whatever, and they would refer to Jerusalem as Al-Quds. And we were told if we hear the speaker saying Al-Quds, we were to say Al-Quds.
That is
Have you
also
heard?
possible.
Yeah.
But you
So
can say
rather
Jerusalem
than
as
changing
well.
it to Jerusalem, that's just
Yeah, you
something
can say
that I
Jerusalem
remember
as well.
hearing. We were told in the English booth, if the speaker says Al-Quds, you say Al-Quds.
Well, in
May I
Arabic,
say,
they all.
may I say my 2 pence here?
اتفضل.
Yes, go ahead.
I do remember that at some point, I think it was the representative of Israel speaking of Yerushalayim, and I said Al-Quds. And I have a friend of mine who nudged me and said, if he said Yerushalayim, you need to say Yerushalayim, meaning, I mean, the Hebrew word for Jerusalem. Other than that, yes, you need to probably stick, and it depends usually on context, on the context. So you would say in Al-Quds, especially if they say Al-Quds al-Sharif, as in Holy Jerusalem, or I guess Jerusalem would pass under the circumstances. One more word. I do believe that we need to stick to diaspora, because these words became meaningful by themselves. I mean, the Palestinians feel that today they are in diaspora the way the Jews were in diaspora at some point. So you need to look at the historical context of that word. The same, only by association, would come to mind when we talk about the Golan. And I do remember that the Syrian delegation used to complain vehemently at the word the Golan Heights, because textually and historically, again, the word the Golan Heights was used by Israel to always express a feeling of vulnerability, that someone is standing up high there and you are a sitting duck in a lower ground. So please, when the Syrians speak about the Golan, make sure not to have a slip of the tongue and say the Golan Heights.
I've been told that as well in the English booth. That's another thing we were told. Always, if the speaker says the Syrian Golan, where to say the Syrian Golan.
The Syrian Golan, avoid heights.
Yeah.
So that's why when they say in Shutat, as an interpreter, the first word that I would say, I mean, because you know what? What if they said Shutat wa manfa? Think always of what would you say if they were to say fi Shutat wal manfa. Al manfa is exile. Shutat is diaspora. So I always, sometimes when you write the word, I think you end up benefiting, just in case you've had another fallback position.
I would say diaspora too.
Okay, let's move. So
right.
let's go on to the next page.
Just one question.
A question. We have a question from someone. From Adele. Is that Adele?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Just in the Arabic itself, I just wonder معطوف على ايه يعني اللي هو في القلب منها القدس. What it is added to يعني التركيبة وشهدت على عزيمته وصموده في الأرض الفلسطينية المحتلة وفي القلب منها القدس.
يعني القلب الأراضي.
قلب من الأراضي
الفلسطينية المحتلة.
القلب من okay, from Palestinian territories. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Clear.
Okay, so let's
Can I go for it?
Reham, is that you, Reham?
That's Rowan. I would like to go for
Yeah,
it.
Rowan.
Oh, Rowan. Okay, sorry. Rowan, and then we'll have Reham. Okay, so Rowan.
Can I start with moreover? Is that okay?
So
Yeah.
from here, كمان Arab, right?
Okay.
Yeah, moreover, yeah.
Moreover, we express our gratitude to the states that have reiterated by overwhelming majority their support to the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination, affirming states' commitment to international law and UN resolutions. The resilience of
Just stop
our
there,
people.
stop there.
الشرعية
Let's,
الدولية.
Mohammed, have you got anything there you'd like to?
Yeah, well,
pick up
الشرعية
on?
الدولية, Rasha can correct me, بقول international legitimacy.
I don't correct you. I want to tell you something. A
تفضل.
friend of ours who you know, Muhammad, and I'm sure you respect, Fawaz Adam, used to say that there is no such thing for international legitimacy, and that it is a word that just got attached to a word in Arabic, and there is no way that we can avoid it these days. So I don't think if I were judging Riham's performance in an exam, I don't think I will consider her as having missed a word.
Of course not.
But you're right also in terms of now it's almost like a common mistake that anybody, if you say it, nobody's gonna quarrel with you
A
about.
common and accepted mistake.
Exactly.
Yes,
And I don't know,
تفضل.
Ron, if you agree with that or not, but just
Yes, I do.
I mean,
do.
how about you prevail on international legitimacy? Does it mean anything to you in English?
To meaning, I would say, I've heard it used like the Russians might say something, and the Russians have one word for law, one for legitimacy, and if they use the one for legitimacy, I'll say legitimacy. Just keep them happy. So it sounds fine to me.
Okay.
International law sounds better. It sounds more natural. But if the Russian was specifically going for the word for legitimacy, then I'd be like, probably just better play safe and just say legitimacy.
In this case, you can't avoid it because he did
Yeah.
say international law and legitimacy or international legitimacy.
I say international law is more than enough for me.
What was, and I just wrote, Ron, what was the word you used for sort of بالعربية ساحقة? What was
I said by overwhelming majority.
overwhelming? So you can also say a
Overwhelming
vast
majority.
majority. It's much quicker to say vast, same meaning.
Okay.
It's just quicker.
That-
One
yeah,
syllable
that's very
versus
good, Ron.
four.
Sure.
Okay.
Should I continue the rest?
Yes. Why
or-
don't you do the rest of the paragraph?
Yes, please.
The resilience of our people on their land and across the world, together with your unwavering support and solidarity, is what preserves the protracted Palestinian cause over the course of history and across generations.
Okay. Mohammed?
Did you say protracted?
Protracted. That's the word. A
Yeah.
word I was wondering. That doesn't quite sound right to me in that
Prolonged?
context. For Mustafa, I mean, when I was looking at myself, I think just ongoing seems to me.
Okay.
What do you think, Mohammed or Rasha?
I wouldn't use protracted.
Protracted has a negative
protracted
connotation.
conflict,
you
I would
see.
say, crisis.
In English, exactly.
Yeah.
In English, protracted usually has a negative connotation.
Exactly.
And as he said, a
Conflict,
protracted crisis,
crisis.
protracted conflict. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
What's better? What's a better alternative?
Yeah, particularly that I feel here that he wanted to stress the positive, that
Yes.
the question of Palestine is still here. It's alive and kicking. I mean, I'm not saying you say that, but it's just like it still presents itself, or
enduring, maybe abiding, enduring. These are good, positive synonyms. Talking about something that's lasting a long time, it's an enduring support, abiding, or just ongoing.
How about relevant here? How about relevant? I mean, not that I will ever use it, but we have a difficulty in translating, as when they used to say the UN must remain relevant. So in other words, I have a feeling here that if you were to say the question to keep or to maintain, to keep the question of Palestine on the agenda as a relevant and pertinent or whatever question, despite the passage of time.
I can suggest something, if I may.
Sure.
I would say our people's steadfastness on their land and across the world, bolstered, I would say, by your continued support and solidarity, is what keeps the Palestinian cause alive over the years and across generations.
I mean, the hadira is for me important, and I don't know.
Yeah.
In all honesty,
I think
but he said hayya, so it was not simply a synonym.
Yeah,
حية
alive
وحاضرة,
and
present.
حاضرة.
I mean,
Yeah,
he
present.
needs to say it has a place on our agenda.
Yes.
It's still featured
Alive and
on our
present.
agenda.
Alive and yeah.
And present. And relevant. Alive and
That's
relevant.
why I said relevant.
Yeah, relevant.
Yes.
Yeah,
Relevant.
right. I think that, yeah, I thought you were talking about a different word for relevant. I wasn't quite following,
Yeah,
but no,
relevant.
I think yeah, it is. That's the thing, yeah, to keep the UN relevant. I think that's something
Yeah,
that in English
alive
sounds
and timely,
nice, actually.
and,
Yeah.
Over
Relevant.
the years and across generations.
Let's go on. Let's go on now.
Yes.
Let me just get rid of that, and I go back to the mouse. So who have we got? So I want Reham Selim. So
You got that right.
yes, Reham.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, can I just say one thing at this point? Right? One thing I always say in my videos, right? One thing I always do is if you've got a speaker who's going fast and you're trying to save yourself, your energies, when they break back into saying Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I will often just drop that. I'll just use that as a moment to take a breather. That's a technique that I use because I don't feel that adds anything.
No, that
much.
adds nothing. Actually.
So that's just
it's just a breather.
That's what I do, okay? And if you want, that's a moment where you could in theory take a break. Just when they say Excellencies, distinguished president, I sometimes just let that go. Then anyway.
And
on,
I would
please.
do
Mhm.
and I would do this in a simultaneous interpretation, but since it's on site, I would just go and say it.
Right. I just wanted to see I just wanted to get my little technique in.
That was great, and I follow it.
Go ahead, please.
The international community specified decades ago its peace vision, that is the two-state solution on the basis of on the borders of 1967. This vision was embodied in the resolutions of the system and organization that included the UN resolutions based on its references and solution bases on mechanisms of executing this within a specified framework.
Let's stop there. So there's quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah, that is exactly what I wanted to say about long sentences and the necessity to cut these sentences short. So you said, okay, but didn't you feel that it was too long to follow?
Yes, okay. It was.
Could you try to break it down into smaller sentences by putting a full stop and by avoiding synonyms like system, and organization?
So I would start all over again.
Yes.
Okay. The international community specified decades ago its peace vision, that it is the two-state solution on the borders, on the 1967 borders, full stop.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This vision was embodied in the organization's resolutions that included the UN resolutions on the basis of the solution, on the references and solution bases, and that would be in a specified framework.
Okay,
and I would skip Aliyat. Yeah, and I would skip Aliyat Tanfidihi. I don't know.
Okay. Can we hear somebody else?
Okay,
can I?
Was that Reham? Thank you, Reham.
Thank you.
Can I?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes,
anyone else who's wanting to volunteer? I see Rasha is actually wanting to volunteer as well. But
No. I raised my hand just to make a comment. That was the
right.
Go ahead.
If you want, I can.
Somebody else, please.
So if there are any other volunteers, please do volunteer.
Thank you, Reham.
But Hiba, you please have another go.
Okay.
The international community has identified its vision for peace decades ago, and that lies in the demarcation of the two states along the 1967 borders. This vision was embodied in the resolution of the UN, or this organization. Its resolutions or sorry.
You might want to start. This includes.
This
Sorry.
includes the UN resolutions on the terms of reference and solution basis, and a mechanism for their execution within a determined time frame.
Okay, Mohammed, so anything you want to say?
I would just object to when you use the present perfect, and we talk about something that happened in the past and ended in the past, we don't really use the present perfect. So why don't we start with decades? Like, for example, we say the international community's vision for peace has been based on the two-state solution on the 1967 borders, and we put a full stop after borders. Then we start again. This vision.
Have we lost
the United Nations resolution that encapsulated terms of reference and the basis for a solution, as well as time-bound implementation mechanisms.
So there's a couple of things that Mohammed said. I was wanting. I thought the terms of reference. Now I'm really interested in this. For this word, you have to forgive my pronunciation. Muraja'at. Is that what you always say? Is that the English word that you see, Mohammed? Terms of reference.
Terms of reference.
That's really good. That's a really important word to remember, because I can never remember that in other languages. I always end up fudging it. Okay, I'd say something unsatisfactory. I thought it was the parameters.
Yeah, it could be parameters.
But the terms of reference sounds really. I mean, okay, parameters is quicker to say, but the terms of reference sounds really good. I'm really interested by that. Yeah. And then the other.
Roland, can I say something? Whenever you're done with your thought. I mean,
go ahead, Rasha.
Okay. Two things which I think from the point of view of the training exercise. When I don't know if the participants knew that they will be discussing something about Mahmoud Abbas. I think you did mention something like that.
We did, actually.
When you do, you conjure up all the terms that you think have become standard in the language. So I don't know, I put a note as, where did you bring the word demarcation from? Because this is the two-state solution. حل الدولتين is the two-state solution. The same way you would say West Bank as الضفة الغربية. We don't invent. And when we used to be in training, they used to tell us, try to get these things to become part of your system so that you don't exert any effort conjuring up a term, and focus instead on the structure of your language. The other comment that I would make about the second performance, when it says, the resolutions of the United Nations that included parameters or terms of reference. So I guess, I don't know, there was the young lady who tried after, just before this last one, lost the fact that we're talking about the United Nations resolutions that included the basis for the solution and the mechanisms. The mechanisms, we cannot skip it. It's not
would it be the implementing mechanisms, right?
Implementation
mechanisms. I guess Muhammad said it very correctly.
So, and that's a really good in English, what time-bound, okay? Whenever anything has its sort of time frame with time-bound, remember that.
The mechanisms are things that are discussed in the quartet, that are discussed in international law, because you're not only saying, we're saying that we have the final status negotiations. Don't we talk about that? But that's part of, that's part of aliyat al-tanfid. So we cannot simply choose to skip it because we think it's irrelevant.
Yes.
Those are things that I've learned that it's just like saying the new economic world order, which is no longer spoken of, but something like that it should just come to you without you having to think about it much. So next time, probably we can do something like this, an exercise with a possibility of maybe going through terms, researching some of the terms that one would expect a statement to include if you're talking about a certain thing.
Okay. Shall we go on?
Can I
Yes.
ask
Yes.
something,
Yes,
please?
please.
Yes. أنا لدي سؤال أيضا سأطرحه باللغة العربية.
تفضل.
نعم. هلا إذا قمنا نحن إذا تحدثنا عن آليات وعن قرارات الأمم المتحدة، فنحن نتحدث بشكل آلي عن أيضا آليات ومضامين هذه القرارات. لماذا يقوم السياسيين بذكرها إذا نحن فالقرار هو ليس شيء مجرد، وهو عبارة عن مضامين وآليات ومرجعيات وإلى ما ذلك؟ فلماذا نحن نقوم بالتشديد على ذكر هذه الآليات والمرجعيات والتشديد عليها؟ لماذا لا نقول فقط مرجعيات الأمم المتحدة زي UN resolution؟
Okay.
لماذا يجب علينا ذكرها؟ ذكر هذه التفاصيل.
نحن هنا نترجم خطابا لرئيس. This is a presidential speech, and that's what the president has said. And we have to stay as faithful as possible to what the president is trying to bring home to the listeners. So if he says resolution 2334, we have to say 2334. If he says mechanisms, we have to say mechanisms. Unless we are improvising or we're summarizing what the president is saying, in that case, it's not a speech, it is just a summary or pressy writing. It's not even pressy writing. So, أخ يعقوب كلامك صحيح في سياق آخر، ولكن ليس في سياق خطاب رئاسي أمام الأمم المتحدة. Okay?
تمام، شكرا.
Okay, shall we? I suggest we go on. So we got to بما في ذلك من خلال قرار. So I can pick on. I see there's Kareem who has put his hand up.
Yeah.
Yes, hello.
This is exactly what I was talking about.
Hello.
Long sentences, long paragraphs, and here we can tell that it is necessary to break down this long paragraph into smaller ones.
So we'll start a new sort of sentence here, right, where I've annotated.
This is what Arabic speakers usually use, the kind of conjunction terms, بما في ذلك إلى آخره إلى آخره. But we have to stop at زمني محدد and start a new paragraph. This is or new sentence. This is my opinion. So can somebody take up this one?
We've got Kareem here, Mohammed.
Kareem, تفضل.
Kareem.
Where do I start?
Can you see my annotation? Can you see where I've annotated?
Yes.
Okay, so just start from there.
بس كجملة جديدة لو سمحت.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Including.
This includes, right?
This includes what is enshrined in Security Council Resolution 2334, which aims primarily to saving or rescuing the two-state solution on the borders of 1967, and has determined the duties of the parties and the duties of the nations in terms of non-recognition of unilateral, illegitimate actions, and not endowing them with any form of support. And the necessity.
Let's stop there, I think, again, because I think we want to again break up.
All right, let's stop at دعم. All right.
Let's take it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. It was not bad at all, but it was too literal. Don't you think so? I mean, it was too close to the Arabic text. Can we hear? Thank you very much. Can we hear somebody else, please?
Someone else like to volunteer? Oh, I've got Mena. Mena Mahmoud. Mena.
This includes. That was very good.
Evening, Roland.
Hello, Mena.
How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Okay.
Why don't you give this a try?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That includes through the resolution of the General Assembly 2334, which primarily aims to put into solution the two-state solution around 1967, in addition to determining the duties of the two parties as well as the duties of the countries related to the unilateral the accusation, the admission of the unilateral illegitimate actions, and to not support them with any kind of means.
Okay, Mohammed, is there anything you'd like to?
Okay.
Let me give you the floor, Mohammed, and make some comments.
All right. That was not bad, but also, I mean, the duties, we don't say duties Under international law, we say obligations.
Obligations.
Rights
You
and
would say that's
obligations.
interesting. Like,
Yeah,
I was wondering,
see,
so that you would say that
obligations. I
wajbat's
would-
also obligations, right?
I would personally use obligations. I liked what was it Yaqub who suggested this includes, and it wasn't Yaqub, it was Karim.
I think I said that just to get it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. This includes Security Council Resolution 2334.
Yeah, this is security. I think one of you said General Assembly, but that's
Yeah, it's
definitely that's the Security
Resolution
Council.
2334, which is above all targeted at salvaging.
I was going to say that word, Mohammed. That's
salvaging.
exactly what I was going to give as a
At salvaging the two-state
salvage.
solution on the 1967 borders. Full stop. I would stop.
That's what I was going to salvage.
And I would say it defines. I would say it defines instead of what did you say? Determines. I don't remember what you said exactly, but I would say it defines the obligations of the parties and states not to recognize or support illegal unilateral actions. And I would insert a comma here. And when dealing, did we get to that one?
So we went as far as Al-Dam. So
yeah. Okay. Parties and state not to recognize or support illegal unilateral actions.
I'm sorry for interrupting. So solvating.
عند عدم منحها أي شكل من عند عدم منحها أي شكل, I would say, or support illegal unilateral actions and okay, أي شكل من أشكال الدعم. هون حكينا not to recognize or support.
Could I just say something here? It occurs to me like with these Adam, you obviously use these Adams a lot. This Adam Manaha, it occurred to me to reject, to put that in, to say it in English, just to reject, rather than saying to not grant or to not do something, just to say in English, to reject.
How about
withhold? Not to recognize or support, or to reject.
How about withhold support?
Okay.
Withhold support, that's nice, right? Withhold any kind of support. Yeah, in English that sounds very nice. Yeah. Withhold sounds really good.
Yeah. And then بعدها وضرورة التمييز عند التعامل مع إسرائيل بين الأرض الفلسطينية المحتلة منذ عام 67 بما فيها القدس الشرقية ودولة الاحتلال الإسرائيلي وضمان احترام القانون الدولي وتوفير الحماية الدولية لشعبنا الأعزل.
Hang on, we haven't done that bit yet. So let's. Is Hiba? Are you wanting? Are you volunteering, Hiba?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, okay.
So go from here. So
if there is anyone else who would like to volunteer, I'm happy with.
I've got Jakob but we'll have Jakob after if Jakob wants. So we'll have Hiba for now, and then we'll.
Okay.
We'll come back. So.
No.
Oh no, you think
I just forgot that.
Okay, Hiba. Zurura.
Okay. This includes the need to distinguish when dealing with Israel between the occupied Palestinian territory since 1967, including East Jerusalem, and the Israeli occupation state, and ensure the respect of international law and the provision of international protection to our civilian or armless people.
It is unarmed.
Unarmed.
Defenseless. I looked this up. Defenseless. Is that good? For Al-Azl.
Unarmed. It's not. It's not armless.
Unarmed.
Yeah. Mohammed, is there anything? Rasha.
I just want to ask you maybe to stop at prepositions if you want, because I think this is one of the most difficult issues for Arabic, and often our interpretation into English gets contaminated. So is it respect of or respect for international?
Respect for.
So
maybe you can stop at these things, because that would be nice markers in a training.
Right. This is for here. Okay. احترام القانون الدولي. Respect.
And also protection. And if I may ask, also protection. So protection for or protection of Palestinians.
Now, where's
speaking about
and present protection to. In this case, it's to, right? Because it's providing protection to. In this case.
So defenseless or unarmed. defenseless.
Exactly, because
Or
armless means without arms.
Yeah, I'm not harmless.
Yeah,
not
I
harmless.
just went blank when I came
defenseless.
to this word.
Yeah, defenseless.
Okay, so it is
Yeah.
Can I
and
say
the state
something?
of the Israeli occupation.
Yeah, we can add. Can we add something here? Like when
Tafadhal.
we say Palestinian territories occupied since 1967,
No,
and that's
occupied since 1967,
and then
including
if
East
you go
Jerusalem.
back, yeah, I mean, if you go back to the dilemma of 242, you remember that the whole idea was whether it is the Palestinian territories
Or
occupied
Palestinian territories.
or Palestinian territories. So
Or
it
is it the
depends on
French
which
or
side of the
the
fence you
English
are. But
version?
that's it.
There's that has that
Yeah.
the
Oh yes,
is
I mean,
important.
they
in
said that
respect,
without
right.
it, the resolution wouldn't have passed.
Is that
There's
right?
no problem in the
Absolutely.
French version, by the way.
And that's why the Arabic version says min al aradi,
Yeah.
and the English says from territories.
Is that right?
And the French says
That's
min
it.
al-aradi.
There you
Yes.
go. There's an interesting historical
des
fact. There you
territoires
go.
من الأراضي
Yeah.
مثل اللغة العربية بينما اللغة الإنجليزية from territories.
Exactly.
Can I
Which makes
ask Rasha?
a world of difference. Yeah, difference. Okay.
You've got a couple of questions here from Adele
Questions.
and from Art. Go to the Adele first because
Yeah.
he took the floor.
Tafadhal.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the floor. Rasha, this question is directed to Rasha. What is the overriding text in terms of, since you spoke about the word they, territories, and I know this is a very significant in translation. So usually in bilateral translation, there is an overriding text. If there is a dispute, we will resort to the English text. Was it the Arabic? Was it the English? Was it the French in 1967 regarding the resolution 242?
Believe
What
it
was
or
the
not,
overriding?
I was in ninth grade in 1967. That's the argument that I heard when I joined the UN. And it depends, as I told you, on which side of the fence you are. So I guess to be accurate, in English you say territories, in Arabic you say al-aradi. And if someone takes you to court for it, tell them this is exactly the point, that the Arabs heard al-aradi, the English-speaking world heard territories. So go back to the UN and to the legal council and just figure out how would you like to resolve it. Unfortunately, I don't have a question. What I would say out of instinct as an interpreter is that if I am interpreting for Abbas, I need to adopt his point of view. And his point of view would definitely be al-aradi. So he's not going to say, regardless of whether his actions point in that direction or not, his statement says al-aradi, I would say the territories occupied since from the Palestinian territories occupied since 1967. That's a hunch. I mean, that's my kind of knee-jerk reaction. The rest is up to you. And I don't know, Roland, if you agree, and Muhammad on that as well.
I had not. I mean, this is news to me, so I'm just interested to learn these little nicer things.
I would say the problem is solved in French. If you interpret into French, there's no unequivocal speech here. You say des territoires, which means في اللغة العربية الأراضي.
Yeah.
بس باللغة الإنجليزية لو بدك تحكي the territories, if you're interpreting Mahmoud Abbas, then nobody would protest. But I believe that the British or the US delegate would raise their hand in opposition.
Not really. I am not speaking for the British delegate.
Exactly.
I am the spokesperson. I don't exist. I'm supposed to be a screen through which somebody's statement and heart and feelings. And if you remember, Muhammad, we used to correct exams on the basis of faith, being faithful to the speaker's words, right, and feelings and political positions.
بالضبط.
And many mistakes that happened, we were actually judged on the basis of saying that. And just as an advice, if you remember, we always ask an interpreter to always check his knowledge against the background. And you always should go with, could the United States all of a sudden say, the United States has been a great friend of Iran today, or a faithful or a loyal friend? Even if you heard him say that, you would probably, out of resourcefulness, keep something neutral until you kind of get a confirmation from a sentence that comes afterwards that what you heard was right.
That's a technique for interpreters. If you think that something sounds strange, just play neutral and see then how it develops, and then you can hopefully
Otherwise, you
salvage a
could,
situation.
otherwise, you could make a counterstance that would cost you very dear.
Yeah.
In
A case in point.
I wonder if I could.
how
Arda was wanting to ask a question. Arda,
Yes,
are you
please,
there?
Arda.
Yes, so Rasha may have answered this question, I'm not sure, but when I look at the way that he says دولة الاحتلال الإسرائيلي, I know it's because he doesn't want to say Israel, so in Arabic it's دولة الاحتلال الإسرائيلي, but
No.
I guess what he refers to would be in English, the interpretation would be Israel proper. So would we do that, or should because it sounded a little bit strange to hear the occupation state of Israel. It just sounded a little.
But this is his political, Arda, this is his political message. He's telling you that we are being occupied by Israel. And because he did not say, I'm not recognizing Israel. He said that it's the two-state solution. So he is referring to the state of Israel.
Right.
But in this context, he's saying Israel has occupied East Jerusalem and the West Bank and Gaza, and now they withdrew from Gaza. So I am in no position to be making second guesses, which is why sometimes it might sound awkward linguistically, you know, the state of it, because if you remember in this context, like in the context of decolonization, they always talk about the administering power. You know, so in that sense, he doesn't even want to talk about Israel as an administering power because it's an occupying state.
Occupying, right.
Yeah.
It's occupying. Well, I mean, why would I want to embellish it for him? It's not.
Exactly.
It's not my role. So sometimes stick to the obvious, and even if it sounds awkward, I think you're better off politically sounding awkward linguistically than sounding that you have already taken a position other than that of the speaker.
Understood.
There is another term which is very frequently used, the occupying power.
Exactly.
But a case in point about what Rasha said, that, for example, if you hear a British or the British delegate talking about the Falkland Islands, you will hear the Falkland Islands. Somebody, the Argentinian would say the Malwine Islands. You see, so if you're interpreting the British, you would not say Juzar al-Malwin.
The interesting thing here is, so this is, we get in, okay, if we hear Las Islas Malvinas in Spanish, we call them the Malvinas, okay? Now, the tricky one is when the French say Les Malouines, because Les Malouines coming, I'm not certain what that's just what the French call them. There's an argument to say you could say either, I think, because...
But not if you're interpreting the delegate of Argentina.
Not if you're just, with Argentina, that's a different matter. I wonder if we're just going to move, I want to do one more sentence from this one. We're going to do one more sentence here, then take a quick break, and then we're going to go to Ukraine. So I've got, was it Rawan? Rawan, if you would perhaps like to do this. So starting from here, Huna, just here. Is Rawan there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay, we hereby warn the states against establishing offices for trade or diplomatic affairs in Jerusalem and against signing agreements with companies or educational institutions operating in settlements or further purchasing their products.
Okay.
Let's stop it there. That's a good place to stop. Yeah.
Okay. But we hereby, why use hereby?
Because he says wahuna, like not just here, like by this. He's trying to say something like hereby. That's how I took it. I'm not sure.
Why don't we say, for example, in this connection? Or we just
context,
drop,
or just drop it. I mean, I don't know. My temptation was to drop it, and we
to drop it at all. We say we warn the countries that have. To
me, that sounds like one of those words that you don't really need to render.
That's
if you're exactly in a long statement.
What if we said we warn the countries that have set up commercial or diplomatic representations in Jerusalem?
That already have, or the ones that, like, I thought he was warning them that.
التي تنشئ أو have or will set up, whatever.
I thought against establishing, that's what I put, so I could be wrong.
هنا نحدد الدول التي تنشئ مكاتب تجارية في القدس ومن عقد اتفاقيات مع المؤسسات. Okay. This means this has happened or has not happened yet. التي تنشئ. Any country that sets up, that establishes.
that have established maybe is
Or
the most
have.
safest in English.
Yeah.
That covers those that already have done, who are in the process of doing it. So I think maybe, I mean, to
It
me,
would be in the process
that
of
have
doing
established
it, has done
covers
it,
both.
or is to do it. I mean, will do it now, does it now or in the future. التي تنشئ. This is, I don't think there is a time frame for that. It's just warning any country that sets up representation.
Can't we say setting up? We warn or we caution states.
That's a good word, by the way. We caution those
Caution.
states against
Yeah.
doing. What's the caution? Yeah.
Mhm.
Against setting up, so that the meaning or the tense, the time is kept a bit vague,
Mhm.
or it's not
Yeah, that's why I said
defined.
against establishing. It's against establishing or against setting up. Yeah, sure.
Was the rest good, Mohammed?
Yeah, the rest was good. Yeah.
What was
And
it? Purchase. So buying goods, right?
And
purchasing,
settlements or
buying,
purchasing their
buying
products.
their products. I would say products.
Products. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I said, purchasing their products, noting that all such actions constitute a
finish it, yeah, yeah.
violation of international law on one hand, and further encourage the Israeli occupation power to commit
Occupying
more
power, I think sounds nice.
occupying power to commit more crimes against the Palestinian people, full stop.
Mohammed,
And then
anything that will stop.
I would
that will
drop
stop.
on the one hand, because if you say on the one hand, you have to say on the other. Drop the one hand.
Is there isn't another? Yeah, right.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it more common within the UN terminology area to say Israeli occupation authorities?
The occupying authority.
Occupying authorities.
Occupying authorities rather than power?
The occupying power is a different term, but when we say سلطات الاحتلال الإسرائيلي, we're talking about the Israeli occupation authorities.
Authorities, okay.
Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up here for this text for now. Okay. Any final, Rasha? I don't know if Rasha wants to add anything just to finish, or
Not really. Not
okay.
Really.
So
I just wanted you, maybe just for us participating, and I'm doing that. Every time you have a term, maybe we can, like when we said constitute a violation, run counter to, or a breach of, or to whatever. I mean, if you think you can provide, Roland.
Yeah.
Like
Which one?
Like
was there one in particular here? Because what I heard was very good. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Is it because all of, I mean, because these run counter or are in breach of international law and encourage the Israeli occupying authorities. And the other thing that I noticed here.
Oh, by the way, speaking of, there is a word here I wanted to give you. So تشجع السلطات الاحتلال. I can't remember what was the original that you gave. This. So here. تشجع. What was it you said?
Encourage.
Okay, so another good word here is to embolden. Okay,
embolden
the occupying power to carry out, to perpetrate, to commit more crimes. So embolden is something that's they use that a lot. It's a very good synonym to have, I think, for just plain old encourage.
My other comment was again to go back to Mahmoud Abbas as a head of state who says دولة الاحتلال الإسرائيلي. I would say the state, I mean, Israel, the occupying state, even in that sense, leaving power out, I don't know if it would run okay with you, Roland. If I said Israel, the occupying state, does it?
Because he specifically says Dawla.
He said Dawla. He said Dawla.
And if it was power, what would he say if he was saying?
Sulutat, basically.
Okay, so maybe there's a need to distinguish between the two, or. Do you think there's a need? I don't know, because you guys probably know better than me on that. Is there a need to distinguish between the occupying state and the occupying power in this context?
You know, somehow only in decolonization I've heard the occupying power.
Right.
Like when you're talking about the Malvinas and the islands, when you talk about states that's still Guam or whatever, you know, but in Israel, you know, Abbas is saying, I recognize the state of Israel.
Yeah.
So I think he wants to give Israel this
some sort of legitimacy by saying that.
Exactly, and I don't want to take away the accent he's trying to put on
maybe
recognizing
then.
the state of Israel. I don't want to give myself the right.
Maybe there's a reason he picks that word. Yeah, sure, yeah.
Exactly.
In Arabic, what would he have said if he cannot put the word dawla? I think in Arabic it dictates upon him that he has to say
سلطات
الاحتلال. Yes, okay.
Why didn't he say it? I mean, am I in a position to ask him why?
Yeah. Maybe you should just say this with something this sensitive. You maybe just want to stick with play safe. Generally, that's another. If it's something really sensitive, maybe you just want to play safe. So yeah, guys, we're gonna
Rasha, if that's okay. When she
Go ahead,
mentioned
very quickly.
earlier, when she mentioned earlier about the UN as a loyal friend to Iran, how can we say that sentence in a neutral way?
You would know our relationship with
has relations with Iran, and then wait for it to...
Exactly.
فالأمم المتحدة لديها صلات مع إيران أو علاقات.
We're talking into English now.
From well, you said the statement from English, so
I think what Rasha is like, if there's something which does happen when you get something that just doesn't sound right. If you think this doesn't sound right, you've got to find some way of just making it neutral, okay, and then just waiting to see how it develops later, and then you know if you're on safe ground. If you know, then it'll become clear to you whether you were right or wrong. But sometimes when you hear something like that, you just sort of okay, Iran has relations with America. Okay, if you say that, doesn't, you're not committing either way. And then you just sort of wait. So, but those things, when something doesn't quite make sense, but you think you have heard it, then you have to find a way of just playing safe. I think that's what Rasha was getting at. Yeah. So we're going to just take a little 5-minute break here, okay, while I get Ukraine set up. Okay, so just give me a moment, get yourself a glass of water, and then we'll come back in 5 minutes. Okay. So yes, someone's got. Is that Adele?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Is there any like COO certificate of attendance for this?
For this, I'm afraid not. No. This is just this is my little operation. There's nothing. There's no certificate.
Okay. No,
if some organization wants to pay me money to issue certificates, I'll happily take it. But this is for now. This is all just free of charge, and it's just my little. I don't know.
No, I don't mind paying you, but we use this as...
Don't pay me. Don't you pay me? No, you have to pay me a penny. Not
an organization.
Not a single dirham. Don't worry.
Okay. It's just regarding some accreditation, so it will add some points in the accreditation system that we have here.
I don't issue accreditation. Not yet. As I say, if some huge, great institution wants to pay me loads of money to do that, then I'm happy to listen to any offers. But
industrial scope. Okay, understand. Thank you.
Just tell me, can everyone see what I put up on the? I think we're going to get started. Okay, can everyone see the new screen share? Minsk protocol.
Yeah, Minsk protocol.
You can. Okay, so I think we're going to get started with the second text. Okay, so this text is a statement by the Ukraine, and it's a very recent text. So this was delivered. Notice I say deliver statements, okay? Always listen to the words I choose, right, when I'm talking. So I try and choose my words deliberately, okay? This was delivered on 15th December 2021. Now, usually when it comes to the situation in Ukraine, I tend to hear the perspective of the other side when I'm interpreting, because it's usually I'm interpreting for the Russians, giving their perspective on the situation. So this is a bit different, okay, because this is the perspective of the Ukrainian side, talking about the situation in Ukraine in the Crimea. Now, whenever you have a statement on this subject, the sort of core document you want to refer to is the Minsk Protocol. So I've pulled up here the Wikipedia page for the Minsk Protocol, because this was the original treaty that was when the fighting was going off there in 2014. This was the sort of peace treaty that was reached to stop the fighting. You had the contact group in Ukraine, which was Ukraine, Russia, and the OSCE, Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Mohammed, what's that in Arabic? Are you there, Mohammed?
Can you hear me?
Yep. What's that? Just
Okay.
what's that in Arabic? This is very important to know this.
الأمني في أوروبا.
Say again.
منظمة التعاون الأمني في أوروبا.
Okay, that's a very important, the OSCE, so we use that acronym all the time, okay? That's one you have to really recognize. It's called the Normandy format. Okay, and these two sort of, I don't know, rogue states, you might call them, within Ukraine, they're called the Donetsk People's Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic. What's that, Mohammed, in Arabic? Anything unusual, or what's the name?
دونتسك الشعبية.
Okay. And then, so there was a subsequent, so there was the initial, there was Minsk 1, and then there was Minsk 2. And so on this page on the Wikipedia, I mean, I'm not going to go through it now, but I very much suggest, advise you to look through it, especially Minsk 2, and just to look at, take very careful note of some of the vocabulary that's used in here. These the full text agreement as follows. These things like immediate full ceasefire, oblasts of Ukraine. Oblast is a Russian word. I think in Arabic, when you hear the word oblast, Mohammed?
Oblast, Nagal.
Do you do, okay.
Because
muhafidha? Would you call it a muhafidha or?
Muhafidha.
Okay. So anyway, it's very good vocab. You know, if you, that's the first place I would start. Okay, the Minsk Protocol. That's got all the important vocab. Okay.
If I may, Roland.
Yes, Mohammed.
عندما يتعلق الأمر بأي موضوع كان، سواء كان أوكرانيا أو البلقان أو أي صراع في العالم، حتى تكون الترجمة أكثر دقة، قبل انعقاد المؤتمر مراجعة أي معلومات تخص ذلك الصراع، لفهم أول شيء طبيعة أطراف الصراع، شو الهدف من الصراع، أسماء المدن الرئيسية، أسماء الشخصيات الفاعلة في هذا الصراع، إذا كان في اتفاقيات موقع عليها. هذه الإلمام بهذه المعلومات البسيطة تساعد بشكل كبير على توفير ترجمة أكثر دقة، وتسهل الأمر في المراجعة والتحضير. هذا شيء واجب جدا، لأنه أحيانا كثيرة تسمعون أسماء ربما لن تفهموها ولن تستطيعوا لفظها إن لم تكونوا تعرفوا أين هي وما هي أهميتها على خارطة الصراع. هذه مسائل مهمة جدا. من ناحية ثانية، في هناك اتفاقيات دولية يجب الإلمام بها. مصطلحات مثل ما مر معنا الآن الحقوق غير قابلة للتصرف، هذا أصبح مصطلح مثل بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، يعني وين ما كان يلفظ. من منذ يمكن أن أنشئت هذه اللجنة في الخمسينيات أعتقد أنشئت. فيعني هذه المصطلحات.
ممكن حضرتك تكرر المصطلح تاني؟
الحقوق غير القابلة للتصرف inalienable rights، يعني هي بدأت في الفلسطينيين وأصبحت تستعمل في عدة أماكن الآن. فهذه المصطلحات يعني إذا غابت عن ذهننا هنا ندرك إذا ما كان المترجم متمكن من نفسه أو يرتجل في كل مرة يصطدم فيها بمصطلح من هذا النوع، كما رأينا في المحاولات الأولى لترجمة نص الرئيس محمود عباس. هذه فقط نصيحة على الهامش، يعني خذوها في عين الاعتبار، لأنه فعلا ستسهل عليكم مهمة الترجمة.
I understood most of that. I was quite pleased with myself. I got most of that. What's Hamash? The one thing I didn't, what's Hamash?
Yes?
You said it towards the end. Hamash was a word I missed. Hamash.
هذا يذكرني.
On the sidelines or
on the sidelines. What's the word?
على هامش.
That was it. على هامش. Okay, on the sidelines.
Nafoni in Russian. Nafoni.
Okay. Let's get started. So please, can we get some volunteers? I see Kareem, and we'll start with maybe Kareem, and we've got Shara. We've got another UN person here. This Shahrazad. Hello, Shahrazad.
أهلا شهرزاد، كيفك؟
أهلين.
أهلا وسهلا شهرزاد.
بيكي هلا بيكي.
Okay, we've got a couple of new people actually who haven't volunteered so far. So, I mean, Shahrazad is volunteering. So,
Are you? يلا تفضلي.
اوكي شكرا.
why don't you start us off?
اوكي.
So Shahrazad works, if I'm not mistaken, right? You're French actually. Arabic A, French
I
A
have
or B?
French retour.
She's got a French retour.
Yes.
And English C or
Exactly.
B?
English C.
C. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Off you go then.
تفضلي.
اوكي. سيدتي الرئيسة، أشكر النائبة المفوضة السامية على عرضها وإحاطتها. كذلك نحن ممتنون للمفوضية السامية لحقوق الإنسان على تقريره المواضيعي بشأن موضوع مهم وأتى في حينه. على أواصل ولا أتوقف؟
كملي حتى المجتمع المدني.
أوكي. وعلى الرغم من عدم لا سوف أبدأ بالعكس. وأصدر رئيس أوكرانيا فولوديمير زيلينسكي رئيس أوكرانيا يوم 27 من أيلول سبتمبر 2021 مرسوما باعتماد استراتيجية وطنية بشأن المساهمة في تطوير المجتمع المدني في أوكرانيا للفترة 2021-2026. وقد صيغ هذا التقرير بمشاركة فاعلة من منظمات المجتمع المدني على الرغم من أن هذه المسألة لم تذكر في التقرير.
Okay. Mohammed, I think that sounded pretty damn good to me. But
أكيد 100% كانت الترجمة كاملة. بس بحب أركز على بعض المصطلحات يعني اللي احنا بنستخدمها دائما. على حضرة الرئيسة، أنت قلتي سيدتي الرئيسة أو حضرة الرئيسة تماما. أشكر نائبة المفوض السامي على العرض. وأنت قلتي الإحاطة. الإحاطة أوكي التي قدمتها لنا، خلينا نقول. كما كما نشكر مكتب المفوض السامي لحقوق الإنسان على تقريره المواضيعي. أنت هون في الوقت المناسب تايملي قلت الوقت المناسب الذي
أتى في حينه.
نعم، الذي تضمن موضوعا هاما أتى في حينه. excellent. هلا أنت هون أخرتي كلمة موضوع التقرير لم يذكر هذا الأمر ووضعتيها في مكان متأخر من الفقرة، صحيح؟
صحيح.
يعني هذا ممكن أن يأتي في آخر الفقرة أو في بداية الفقرة، يعني المهم يذكر، لأنه شيء أساسي أن المتحدث أشار إلى أن الموضوع لم يذكر، بمعنى أن التقرير قد غفل عن ذكر هذا الموضوع. هو يريد أن يؤكد على هذه النقطة، يضيف إلى التقرير ما غفل عنه الشخص الذي صاغ هذا التقرير. ممكن نبدأها في البداية، بنقول مثلا: وعلى الرغم من أن التقرير لم يذكر ذلك، فقد أصدر فخامة الرئيس الأوكراني فولوديمير زيلينسكي مرسوما باعتماد الاستراتيجية الوطنية بشأن أو حول المساهمة في تطوير المجتمع المدني في أوكرانيا للفترة 21-26. هذه الاستراتيجية تمت صياغتها بمشاركة فعالة من منظمات المجتمع المدني. عظيم جدا.
Well, one thing I just see, so this, I think he does it a few times in this statement. He does a lot of contributing. I would have thought that my impression is that if need be, you could sort of just drop something like this, the national strategy on contributing to the development of civil society. To me, at least, it would be just as natural to say to the national strategy on the development of civil society. I don't know if you native Arabic speakers
would... أعتقد ملهاش داعي هون، يعني هاي كلمة نترجمها باللغة العربية المساهمة فيه. ربما حتى even in English I don't see why contributing.
This is it. You have to look for these words that could really be redundant. And I think in that paragraph, to me, that word contribute here seems redundant. It doesn't need to be there really. You could skip it and no one would really notice.
National strategy
on the development of civil society. I should, by the way, point out, so as a native English speaker, this is pretty good English in this statement. Actually, there's a few little slips that are made grammar-wise, but generally it's a good statement. It's well translated, shall we say?
Can I ask a question? Actually, I have a comment for Arabic and one for English.
Yeah.
My question to Roland, contributing to the development, is that a way for him to say that we are supporting the development of civil society, and maybe in translation from Russian to English, is that was that delivered in English? Because sometimes it's contamination even while
I mean, that seems to be contaminated. I think he'd have had that written in the Ukrainian, and they like that word.
Exactly.
So it's just the way they like to structure it. So I think that's just.
He means that we are actually supporting the civil society. If that was his message, then I'll leave it and say da'man li. I mean, I will give. The other comment that I have on the word timely, I mean, contributing to the development of the civil society.
Of civil society. There shouldn't be this. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. That's what I thought. The other one was the word timely. In Arabic, when you say التي أتى في حينه, you're talking four words. I found out that if we say حسن التوقيت, could be a way of contracting the number of words we have to use to express, and sometimes it comes, you know, a little bit smoother in certain contexts than here, because you cannot really add the definite article, but maybe you can. I mean, المواضيع الألهام والحسن التوقيت أو حسن التوقيت. So I don't know. It's a suggestion. If you like it, maybe you can take it on.
موضوعا هاما جاء في الوقت المناسب أو حسن التوقيت. ممتاز.
Okay, let's
رولاند جت ملاحظة ممكن أيضا نقول مثلا إما علما أن التقرير لم يذكر هذا الأمر، أو والواقع أن التقرير لم يذكر ذلك مثلا، يعني كاقتراح إضافي.
معلش الأستاذ محمد، حضرتك قلت للفترة 21-26.
نعم 2021-2026.
بس حضرتك حذفت 20 وقلت على طول 21-26، فهل ده يعني جائز انه يحصل في الترجمة الفورية ان احنا نسقط التاريخ اوله؟
ممكن لانه احنا نتحدث عن سنوات هنا، يعني هلا احنا بين بعض انا حكيت 21-26 اختصارا، بس ممكن يكون 2021-2026 لا ضير في ذلك. لكن لو قلنا سنة 21 لسنة 26 أيضا كمان مقبولة.
أوكي.
يعني أصبح الآن إحنا تخطينا سنة 2000 بسنوات طويلة ب20 سنة، يعني ممكن نسمح لنفسنا نقول سنة 19 سنة 20 سنة 21 أعتقد يعني. بس إحنا هون أنا حكيتها على سبيل الاختصار.
إنما يعني أقصد في سياق يعني مؤتمر مثلا أو الساحة اللي بيتم فيها إلقاء هذا الخطاب.
نعم.
يعني مفروض يعني هو طبعا عشان نقصر الوقت كويس إن احنا نقول 21-26. بس
أنا شخصيا ممكن أقولها بشكل متكرر 21-26 أو 19-20 أو 21-25 أقولها بشكل متكرر، لأنه أنت لو حضرتي جلسة من جلسات حقوق الإنسان حتى كلمة 21-26 يكاد يتوفر الوقت لك أنك تقوليها. فالخطابات عادة ما تلقى بشكل سريع جدا جدا جدا. مجلس حقوق الإنسان يختلف عن أي هيئة أممية أخرى في العالم.
طب شكرا، دي معلومة يعني مفيدة جدا. هو عشان كده أنا سألت السؤال إن هو اختصارا للوقت هل ممكن
نعم.
في سياق
أنا شخصيا
رسمي؟
أقولها باستمرار.
Okay, شكرا.
One thing I would just like to point out here, just as an English native, civil society organizations, you will sometimes hear these referred to as CSOs. Okay, if you ever hear that acronym CSOs,
yes,
that's what it often refers to, civil society, and they'll often come hand in hand as a package with NGOs, right? NGOs and CSOs. That's just a little thing to watch out for. Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. And I had where was Margarita? I saw Margarita had her hand up. Is Margarita still got her hand up? How are you doing, Margarita?
Hello, Roland.
Hello. Margarita,
I'm doing great. How about
you? Margarita actually has done one episode with me of the interpretation station. I can't remember what number it was. What did we discuss? What was the subject? I can't remember, Margarita.
We discussed the rights of women and girls.
The rights of women and girls. So I think that was
Yeah.
somewhere in the 70s or 80s. You can find Margarita there. So yes, Margarita. She's still studying. Margarita, or she's just finished. Have you just come out of college?
No,
I can't remember. Or you're still in college?
I'm a first-year interpretation student. Yeah.
So she's pretty new to things, but she's got, I think, a lot of potential. So go ahead, Margarita. So we're going to go from today in Ukraine.
Today, yes.
From here, yeah.
واليوم لقد تسجل في أوكرانيا. نعم. أستطيع إعادة البدء عفوا. واليوم تضم أوكرانيا حوالي 92,470 منظمة غير حكومية، وإن أنشطة هذه المنظمات تكمل وتدعم جهود الحكومة للتأقلم مع التداعيات المدمرة للاعتداء المسلح الروسي ضد أوكرانيا. هذا الاعتداء الذي توضح أو سلط الضوء عليه في تقرير المفوضية.
Okay, Mohammed.
Yes. I like that you broke the paragraph down into smaller sentences. This is a good thing. لكن هون في ذكرتي حوالي 92,470.
نعم.
هنا ذكرت
أكثر.
التقرير أكثر. وقلتي اليوم بدأتي باليوم because باللغة الإنجليزية بدأت today. يعني لماذا لا نستخدم مصطلحات أخرى مثلا؟ إما بنقول مثلا تتواجد في أوكرانيا أو تنشط في أوكرانيا اليوم أكثر من كذا وكذا منظمة غير حكومية، عادة ما تكون أنشطتها مكملة وداعمة لجهود الحكومة. أنت هون قسمتي الجملة إلى نصفين، كان هذا شيء يعني كنت موفقة في هذا الموضوع. وقلت أيضا للتكيف مع، ذكرتي كلمة الاعتداء.
نعم.
هي هنا
عدوان.
الكلمة المذكورة هي aggression.
عدوان.
في عدوان، نعم، كلمة عدوان مستخدمة كثيرا بدل من attack يعني كمان لها معنى آخر، ربما هو تحدث عن عدوان. فعدوان في إلى كلمة الاجريشن هي عدوان، العدوان الروسي المسلح على أوكرانيا. هلا ذكرتي ألقى عليها الضوء، هي كلمة ألقى كويسة، بس هون تحدث عن بشكل extensive. يعني هون كانت تغطية تقريبا شو مكتوب، كانت consequences in Russia against which are extensively reflected. يعني في تغطية مكثفة في على نطاق واسع، في خلينا نقول بشكل مستفيض، بشكل موسع. يعني
ممكن نستعيد عنها.
أسهب التقرير في شرح هذه المسألة، وليس فقط ألقى عليها ضوءا عابرا. خلينا نقول على كل ألقى الضوء عليها يعني وضحها وأشار إليها. بس I would say for extensive بشكل موسع مثلا، أو بشكل مستفيض على نطاق واسع. بس بلاش نطاق واسع، مستفيض أو موسع أنا بقترح.
نعم.
Okay, can I just make a couple of stylistic points as well I think might be useful? The number, okay, so when you've got a number like that's a tough number, right? 92,470. So to my mind, you know, if I hear that number in another language, I would probably just be going into English. Okay, there are, let's say, over 90,000 NGOs. I don't think the 92,000. 92 would be nice. Yeah, 92 would be nice. If you miss the 2, 90 wouldn't be the end of the world either. So with a number that specific, I think you can often sort of round it down a bit, right? Just to make your own life easier. And another thing stylistically that I might say, reflected in the OHCHR report, well, we already know that they're talking about the OHCHR report because it's been mentioned up here, okay? So I would have thought there's a case for just not even just skipping having to say that whole name in Arabic of OHCHR and just say reflected في التقرير.
التقرير أو تقرير المفوضية.
Okay.
Okay. Go on.
Okay, who else have we got then? Who else is asking for the floor that we haven't heard? Yusuf Roch.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Yusuf. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
Where are you, Yusuf? Just out of interest.
Morocco.
Morocco. Okay, I know Morocco. I've been to Marrakesh. Marrakesh.
Yes, I'm in Marrakesh.
Oh, you're in
right
Marrakesh, really?
now. Yes.
That's the
Okay.
only
I am from
place in
here.
the Arab-speaking world that I've been. That's it, Marrakesh.
Oh, really?
Lovely, great city, great city. Okay,
Yeah.
Yusuf, go ahead, please. So we've got to hear in violation of the ceasefire.
Okay, so انتهاكا لوقف إطلاق النار شنت القوات الروسية أزيد من 2000 هجوم نحو مواقع أوكرانية هذه السنة، مما خلفت أزيد من 65 قتيلا في صفوف الجنود الأوكرانيين و261 جريحا. Should I continue?
Yeah, do the whole paragraph, yeah.
وذلك بالإضافة إلى 32 خلافا متعلق بضحايا مدنيين سجلته الأمم المتحدة لحقوق الإنسان في بأوكرانيا ما بين غشت ونوفمبر لسنة 2021 فقط.
أوكي، جيد، لكن عندي بعض الملاحظات بالنسبة لقواعد اللغة العربية. يعني هنا عندما نقول مقتل ونضيف إليه المضاف إليه يكون مجرورا عن مقتل 65 جنديا أوكرانيا وجرح، قلت أنت 261. ما هي الكلمة التي استخدمتها عفوا بالنسبة للجرحى؟ جريحا. أوكي، وجرح 261 آخرين بمعنى جنود آخرين. بالنسبة للبعثة هي اسمها بعثة مراقبة انتهاكات حقوق الإنسان في أوكرانيا. هذا اسمها الأممي، بعثة مراقبة انتهاكات حقوق الإنسان في أوكرانيا التابعة للأمم.
The Human Rights Monitoring Mission to Ukraine.
نعم.
Yeah, sometimes it's just called the monitoring. I mean, if you know, the speaker might say they know what the context is, they might just say the monitoring mission. I don't know how how would you just shorten that, Mohammed? What's a sort of is there a shortcut you would use for that long name?
هي ذكرت للمرة الأولى هنا، ولكن إذا ما ذكرناها في وقت لاحق سنقول البعثة.
Right, because this is the first time he mentions it, right?
البعثة. في البداية عندما قلت شنت القوات الروسية هذا العام، هناك ذكر لي وحده، هذا العام وحده. يعني في تأكيد أنه لهذا العام، هذا العام بالذات وحده في عام واحد كان هناك أكثر من 2000 هجوم على المواقع الأوكرانية. شفت؟ يعني أنت لم تظهر كلمة وحده، هذا العام وحده، لأنه قال in violation this year alone. هنا في تأكيد على alone. كيف يمكن أن تقولها مرة أخرى لو سمحت؟
That's important. That alone, yeah. Just this year. I mean, that word does. It's got a certain, it's got a nuance
to it. شنت القوات الروسية هذا العام هذه ملاحظة عامة. اللغة العربية فيها جملة اسمية وجملة فعلية. عادة إذا كان هناك فعل في الجملة يفضل أن نبدأ الجملة بالفعل. أنت قلت أحسنت عندما قلت شنت القوات الروسية، بدأت بالفعل، هذا شيء جيد. الشيء الناقص الوحيد هو وحده، والغلطة الموجودة في المضاف إليه. المضاف إليه عادة يكون مجرور أنت عارف، فهذه شوي في بعض الناس يعني بتخدش أذانهم عندما ترفع الاسم بدل جره أو نصبه.
One thing I would, just against a stylistic thing to say from my side, this expression, so in English, so leaving 65 Ukrainian soldiers dead, 261 wounded. Just note the word, okay, leaving. So I think in Arabic you might say sababat, you would use perhaps.
وقد أسفر ذلك عن.
Okay, so you might be attempting, we don't, in English, we don't say causing the deaths. You could, but it sounds a bit, it's what a foreigner would, it's what a non-English speaker would say. So we talk about, it's left this many people dead, or it's something we say a lot, it's claimed the lives of. Okay, that's very stylistically, very nice. if you're going into English to say something like it's claimed the lives of so many people. Okay, let's go on more. Who else do we have here?
Can I go on?
Mena, okay, go have a go, Mena.
Okay. If Russia, right? Starting with
if Russia does not escalate, yes.
إذا لم تتوقف روسيا حشدها العسكري الحالي الذي يتواجد أو ينتشر على طول الحدود الأوكرانية، فإن أثر هذا الغزو المحتمل سيؤدي إلى عواقب كارثية فيما يتعلق بالأمن والمجال الإنساني ووضع حقوق الإنسان في بلاده وإلى أبعد من ذلك بكثير.
Okay. محمد.
I would say في البداية لو ذكرنا هناك طريقتان، إما أن نبدأ في وما لم تقم روسيا بخفض حشوداتها العسكرية المكثفة على طول الحدود الأوكرانية، فإن من شأن أي غزو محتمل أن تكون له عواقب كارثية على الوضع الأمني والإنساني ووضع حقوق الإنسان في بلدي والمنطقة برمتها أو في مناطق تبعد عنها كثيرا. أو بطريقة أخرى ممكن أن نقول ومن شأن أي غزو محتمل أن تكون له عواقب كارثية على الوضع الأمني والإنساني وحقوق الإنسان إلى آخره في بلدي والمنطقة برمتها، ما لم تقم روسيا بخفض حشوداتها العسكرية المكثفة على طول الحدود الأوكرانية.
بس ده لو أنا بتعامل النص قدامي، لكن لو فوري فالتصرف بتاعي صح.
التصرف صح. ما أنا عشان هيك أنا أعطيت احتمالين الآن. إذا كان النص موجود عندك من وقت سابق ممكن أنت تبدأي من شأن أي غزو محتمل، أو كما كان النص كما هو النص موجود تتبعي ترتيب الفقرة وما لم تقم روسيا بخفض حشوداتها العسكرية المكثفة سيكون هناك أثر كذا وكذا وكذا.
طيب كان عندي سؤال، حضرتك قلت حشوداتها، حضرتك كان استعملتها جمع.
نعم، حشوداتها العسكرية.
well and beyond مش أبعد بذلك، يعني حضرتك قلت في أول منطقة بأسيرة.
أنا قلت في بلدي والمنطقة برمتها، يعني بمعنى أنه ليس فقط في البلاد بل أبعد من أو ممكن تقولي ومناطق تبعد عنها بكثير، بس هون صارت حرفية هيك، مناطق تبعد عنها بكثير.
والمنطقة برمتها. تمام.
أنا بقترح المنطقة برمتها.
اوكي، اخر نقطة الجزء بتاع اللي هو for security humanitarian. حضرتك قلت المجال الامني والانساني.
لا، ما قلتش المجال الامني، قلت له عواقب كارثية على الوضع الامني والانساني.
اوكي.
هلا وضع حقوق الانسان ممكن تكون حالة حقوق الانسان في بلدي.
انا لقيتها حالة ولقيتها وضع فعلا.
نعم.
يبقى على المجال الامني،
مش المجال، الوضع الامني.
الوضع الامني، تمام.
الوضع الامني والانساني.
يعني الوضع الانساني حضرتك جمعتها الوضع الامني والانساني وحالة حقوق الانسان. تمام. شكرا.
هذا طلعت معي هيك بالترجمة الفورية بتكون
محمد،
ممتازة.
حبيت شغلة تانية أنت عملتها. أنت قلت تخفف على دي اسكاليت، وهو مش توقف. وبعتقد بالنسبة لأوكرانيا توقف ممكن تطلع وكأنك عم تعطي ultimatum, which another country might not be in a position to issue. فهو إما تخفيف التوتر أو الحد من أو whatever اللي أنت قلته، تخفف يعني. تماما، يعني هي أسلم شيء وأدق شيء. بصراحة ما طلعت معي بالأول، فلذلك فكرت فيها وحبيت اللي قلته أنت يعني. فبس مو توقف.
لا مش توقف،
يعني لأنه ما فيها دقة.
وانتبهوا
كمان إنه بأي حالة امتحان أو تقييم قلة الدقة تعني أحيانا مش يعني في فرق بين حسن التصرف أحيانا وبين أنه إنسان غير المعنى السياسي. كتير هذا الموضوع مهم، لأنه مش ينعكس على قدرة لغوية فقط، بس كمان ينعكس على موقف مترجم من النص اللي عم يتعامل معه. فالدقة واجبة بلاقيها بهالمجال.
I'll just say one little thing also. So these are disastrous consequences. In English, I think an English native speaker would more like to say devastating consequences. But we would maybe say disastrous consequences.
We can say
devastating. Devastating is often another word that you will hear, and it's a very good word to use again if you're going into English. Okay, let's do one more paragraph. I think we're going to have to let Mohammed go. I've been keeping him. I don't want to keep him back from his family. I'm seeing Hiba there volunteering. Do you want to give us? Shall we try this paragraph?
Okay. يزداد الوضع في كرايميا المحتلة مؤقتا يزداد تدهورا حيث تقوم سلطات الاحتلال الروسية في كرايميا
He's our occupation authorities again. This is interesting. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
حيث تستمر سلطات الاحتلال الروسي في كرايميا تستمر في تقييد حرية الرأي الرأي والتعبير عن طريق التدخل في عمل الصحفيين والمنافذ الإعلامية فضلا عن ملاحقة الأفراد بسبب أو نتيجة لآرائهم بما في ذلك تلك الآراء التي يعبرون عنها على الإنترنت.
Okay, Mohammed.
Okay.
Can I just say before you go, so this temporarily occupied Crimea, that's something you definitely want to get the full wording across, because the Ukrainians, they choose that wording very specifically because obviously they still see Crimea as being a part of Ukraine, as an integral part of Ukraine. For them, this is just a temporary occupation. So that's sort of a very important wording to convey.
من وجهة نظرنا كمترجمين عرب لسنا ملمين كثيرا بأسماء المناطق هناك. أنا سمعت كثيرا وقرأت في الصحف إنه اسمها منطقة القرم. البعض كان يتحدث عن شبه جزيرة القرم. لكن
Is that what it is? Qarn, you saying? Okay.
أحسنتي ببداية الجملة بالفعل. يزداد الوضع في منطقة القرم المحتلة مؤقتا. هنا يعني هنا الاعتراف بأن هذا الاحتلال ليس احتلالا دائما بل هو احتلال مؤقت. طبعا هي من وجهة نظر أوكرانية صرفة. هنا أيضا في استخدام لسلطات الاحتلال الروسي، لأن أوكرانيا لا تعترف بالوجود الروسي على أنه وجود شرعي بل تعتبره احتلالا. هنا يزداد الوضع في منطقة القرم المحتلة مؤقتا تدهورا بعد أن واصلت سلطات الاحتلال الروسي في القرم فرض قيود على حرية الرأي والتعبير. غالبا ما نستخدم هذه يعني بشكل مزدوج دائما عندما نقول the right to freedom of expression and opinion or opinion and expression. هذول بيجوا مع بعض، حرية الرأي والتعبير من خلال التدخل في عمل الصحفيين. قلتي أنت المنافذ الإعلامية.
أيوه.
قد تقولي أيضا وسائل الإعلام، أيضا ليس يعني لا أعتبرها خطأ. أنت قلتي ملاحقة الأشخاص، ملاحقة أشخاص
الأفراد أو ملاحقة
أشخاص بسبب تعبيرهم عن رأيهم أو بسبب استخدامهم لحقهم في حرية الرأي إذا حبيتي يعني أكثر، بمن فيهم الأشخاص الذين يعبرون عن رأيهم على الإنترنت. تماما. بس كان عندي تصليح للكريمية، أنا سمعتها القرم.
No. Oh, before I finish, Mustafa Nabil has had his hand up for a long time. Look, can we just have one last paragraph? If Mustafa Nabil might like just do this last paragraph, starting citizen journalists, and then we'll stop there. Mustafa, are you there?
I wasn't prepared for this one. I'm sorry. I was preparing for the one before that.
Do you want to give this one a try? It's only a short one.
Yeah, but can I get a second?
Yeah. Okay, have a think about it. There's a couple of tricky things in it.
Roland, I had a quick question. Can I pose it later?
Ask me now while Mustafa's having a think.
And me too.
Thank you very much. How do you feel about the use of anaphoric devices when translating from Arabic into English? Stuff like words like thereunto, therefrom, thereof, whence, and thence, and words like that.
They're good. I mean, they're very stylistically, they're a very high register.
So you can use them.
I would use them. Speaking, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's better to ask Mohammed. But to me, I use them, for example, when I'm going from Spanish into English, sometimes the syntax of the Spanish is such that I need to use it a bit like that. So I will use like therefrom, thereby, therein. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
I do have a question for Mr. Mohammed, if that's okay.
Problem.
دلوقتي هو سؤال فيما يتعلق بالسرعة. يعني أنا عارفة إن إحنا في العربي بنحب إن إحنا نبدأ بالجملة الفعلية،
نعم.
ولكن ده حسام، هل ده هيأثر في حاجتين؟ أول حاجة السرعة، إن هو كده هيبقى سابقني بنص جملة أو جملة، فده طبيعي. وتاني حاجة إنه أنا ممكن أنسى، فهل ساعتها من الطبيعي إن أنا أعمل ميرورنج للجملة، يعني زي ما أنا مثلا عملت في تصرف روسيا؟ ولا لو انا عندي مساحه، لان حضرتك لسه بتقول ان المكس بيقول الانسان سريع جدا،
نعم.
فساعتها هيبقى ايه التصرف؟ ان انا هبقى دايما ساعتها ان انا بقلب في الجمله الفعليه، ولا هاخد نوتس، ولا ازاي التصرف ساعتها في الترجمه دي عموما؟ يعني
يعتمد إذا
الترجمه
كان
الفوريه عموما يعني.
كل هذا يعتمد إذا كان النص موجود أمامك، لأنه أحيانا كثيرة يكون النص متوفرا. فإذا كان النص متوفرا وكان عندك الوقت الكافي لتحضير النص، ممكن أنك تبدأي في الجملة الفعلية. لكن إذا كان النص غير متوفر والمتحدث سريع، هنا أعتقد أن الجملة الاسمية تكون أسلم، لأنه ربما الإنسان لن يكون عنده الوقت أنه يستنى لحتى تخلص الجملة ويشوف إمتى بيبدأ الفعل، أين يكون الفعل لبدء الجملة بفعل باللغة العربية. فلكن في هذه الحالة أنت بدك تكوني يعني إما أنك ماشي معه كلمة، وهذا سيضعك في فخ الترجمة الحرفية، وبالتالي يمكن تفقد المعنى. والترجمة الفورية تعتمد أساساً على الاستماع أولاً ثم الترجمة. يعني إذا كنت أنت يعني كببغاء، عفواً باستخدام المصطلح هذا، يسمع كلمة ويترجم الكلمة التي يسمعها فوراً، ستفقد المعنى العام للجملة، وربما الفقرة وربما النص بكامله. فأنت لو انتظرتي ثانية أو ثانيتين أو 3 ثواني، ستنقذك من الوقوع في فخ الترجمة الحرفية وبالتالي فقدان المعنى.
طب معلش في هذا السياق أستاذ محمد، هل في أغلب المؤتمرات أو في الجلسات اللي بيتم فيها إلقاء خطب، هل الخطب دي بتبقى النص بتاعها بيبقى جاهز للمترجم إن هو يطلع عليه قبل الجلسة؟
في كثير من الأحيان بتكون النصوص متوفرة في المقصورة قبل بوقت. أحيانا كثير أيضا اليوم بعد بدء العمل في المنصات الإلكترونية، أصبحت النصوص متوفرة على موقع معين يخص المنظمة المعنية على الإنترنت. يعني أنت قبل بليلة ممكن تلاقي هذه النصوص جاهزة. أحيانا أيضا على فترات الكونفرنس اوفيسرز بيجيبوا باتشز من هذه النصوص، وبكون الزميل اللي موجود جنبك هو اللي بيعمل فرز لهذه النصوص حسب تسلسلها وحسب جدول الأعمال، وبالتالي في إمكانية إنه الإنسان فينا يطلع على النص قبل ما يقرأ. لكن في أحيانا كثيرة أيضا بيوصل النص بعد انتهاء الخطاب يعني. فالتعويل الأساسي مفروض يكون على الأذن، على الاستماع، وإعطاء نفسنا ثواني للتفكير ومعرفة إلى أين سيذهب المتحدث، بدلا من الوقوع في فخ الترجمة كلمة بكلمة.
شكرا.
Okay, if I got Mustafa, sorry, is Mustafa, would you like to have a go at this last para?
Yes, I'm ready, yeah.
Okay, Mustafa, go for it. So we're from here, yeah.
يقبض على الصحفيين المدنيين الذين يقدموا تقاريرا محايدة أو غير متحيزة عن الوضع الحالي أو الحقيقي في القرن. يوجد 8 منهم حاليا خلف القضبان، وفرضت الإقامة الجبرية على 1.
محمد؟
أول شيء شكرا كثير على هذه المحاولة. صوتك يعني ما شاء الله وكأنك مذيع، وهذا شيء ملفت للنظر.
أنا أعمل فيه.
كنا نتحدث عن الفقرة التي تتحدث عن المواطنين الصحفيين.
نعم.
نعم.
Do you use the same expression there in Arabic? So citizen journalists are basically amateur journalists, basically. Then they don't work for the maybe you know this already, maybe you don't, some of you guys.
They're just رسمية.
Yeah. They don't work for the official sort of mass media.
يعني هم بيستخدموا وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي لنقل هذه الأخبار.
So how do you say that? How did you say that in you just call them صحفيين مدنيين or
صحفيين؟ نعم، أنا استخدمت الصحفيين المدنيين. Yes.
Okay. نعم.
الصحفيين. So it's the same idea.
نعم.
Okay.
Okay. الذين ينشرون تقارير غير منحازة عن حقيقة الوضع في القرم يتعرضون إلى الاعتقال، هكذا قلت. نعم.
لا، أنا قلتها يقبض على الصحفيين. بدأتها بيقبض. نعم.
أوكي. يقبض على I wouldn't say يقبض على.
يعتقل.
يتم اعتقالهم. نعم. يتعرضون للاعتقال. واحدة.
تمام.
نعم. وقد زج ب8 منهم في السجن، ويخضع واحد منهم للإقامة الجبرية.
جميل.
هي الخضوع للإقامة الجبرية. هم هون قالوا behind the bars, right?
Yeah, behind bars. That's a very typical, that's a good expression. Yeah.
في اللغة العربية أنا سمعت يعني خلف القضبان موجودة، حتى أعرف أغنية تبدأ بخلف القضبان. أنا شخصيا ممكن أستخدم وقد زج ب8 منهم في السجن، ويخضع واحد منهم للإقامة الجبرية. هي الخضوع للإقامة الجبرية.
جميل.
أوكي.
أو فرض على واحد منهم الإقامة الجبرية.
أنا استخدمتها كده يعني.
نعم.
فرضت الإقامة الجبرية على واحد
منهم. نعم، هذا صحيح. ممتاز.
كان عندي أستاذ سؤال أخير الأستاذ محمد.
One last question. Okay, one last question.
I will. هو سؤال بيتعلق بالفنيات اللي حضرتك وأستاذة رشا اتعرضتوا ليها زي دي اسكليت. الفنيات زي كده، هل دي بتبقى علاجها ايه؟ مثلا لو انا بحاول ان انا اتعامل مع نص اتدرب فيه بصوره فرديه، فهيبقى ايه علاج الفنيات دي؟ يعني
بالنسبة للدي
اسمع بالنسبه ان انا بنقل من انجليزي لعربي، ازاي ان انا اتعامل مع الفنيات دي كتدريب؟ هل مثلا بان انا بشوف نصوص كتيره واشوف مترجمين ازاي يتصرفوا فيها، ولا برجع لقاموس، ولا بان انا بشوف ان انا بنقل زي ما استاذه رشا قالت، بنقل فكر الشخص اللي بيتكلم او الدوله اللي بتتكلم؟
والله ست رشا على حق طبعا. أنا أول مرة يعني تعرفت على هذا المصطلح كان في سياق الأزمة السورية. فكانوا يتحدثوا عن عملية خفض التصعيد. خفض التصعيد بمعنى التوقف عن زيادة الطين بلة، يعني التوقف عن القيام بأي أنشطة قد تزيد من تدهور الوضع. هذه أول مرة أنا التقيت بهذا المصطلح وتعرفت عليه، واحنا اتفقنا فيما بيننا على استخدام كلمة خفض التصعيد، واكتشفنا انه الاطراف المعنية في الصراع كانت تستخدم ايضا هذا المصطلح بالذات. ربما احنا تعلمنا منهم او هم تعلموا منا، مش عارف بالضبط يعني.
فده يعني نحن بنسمع مترجمين تانيين
نعم.
بيشوفوا تصرف فيها ازاي.
نعم. اعتقد ان القاموس قد يساعد، لكن النص السياق هو المساعد الاكبر في هذا الموضوع.
Okay, guys, I think we're going to have to...
May I ask
one last comment, please?
Oh, very, very quickly. I'm feeling, because Mohammed, I did say to Mohammed we would be going till 7:30, so I've already gone. I mean, Mohammed, it's up to you.
Well, it's a very short comment, please.
تفضل.
Okay. دلوقتي استخدام صحفي مدني for citizen journalists. Do you think that this would impart or convey the meaning? لأن أنا هنا هدخل في متاهة صحفي مدني مقابل صحفي عسكري. أنا هبدأ في تصنيف الصحفيين. Do you think that صحفي مدني would give the sense؟ هذا هو سؤالي أو تعليقي. هل نستخدم هو مثلا؟
أنا سمعت اصطلاح غير المفرغين.
يعني مفرغ ولا متفرغ محمد؟ متفرغ ولا
غير متفرغ؟ غير متفرغ.
غير متفرغ
أو الصحفيين الأحرار ممكن تقولي.
لا مو أحرار.
أحرار بمعنى
أعتقد الصحفيين المواطنين أستاذ أحمد هي هو مصطلح،
ولكن أنا بحثت عنها لقيت في بيقولوا الصحفي المواطن أو المواطن الصحفي. الصحفي المواطن.
بالضبط، هي مش صحفي مدني. الصحفي المواطن له تعريف. الصحفي المواطن هو فعليا الصحفي الذي لا ينتمي لمؤسسة إعلامية. فعليا هم مش هواة، هم نعم صحيح، ولكن تصطلح على إنها صحفي مواطن اللي هم بنشتغل معهم في الميديا ليترسي، التربية الإعلامية، وهم غير متخصصين، ما معهم شهادة ولا دبلوم ولا إشي في الصحافة. هم فعليا مواطنين يغطون الأحداث، وانتشرت بشكل كبير، وأكثر شكل إلها كان في سوريا اللي كانوا يغطوا الأحداث من المواطنين. فما بنقول مدني هون، مش مقصود صحفي مدني غير صحفي عسكري. بالضبط.
أو صحفي مواطن، لأنه هو it's a term which is used.
Okay,
use it as is.
Guys, I'm going to
نظري
give the
يعني.
final word to
شكراً.
Rasha. I'm going to give the final word to Rasha. I see is Rasha wanting to.
No, I'm sorry. I just if that's
Okay.
raised hand, it's
Okay.
Thank
I do apologize. I really am going to have to conclude the workshop now. As I say, I've already, Mohammed's already doing 25 minutes overtime.
It's okay. It's okay.
I just want to say to everyone, it's been a pleasure having you here. I wanted to say thank you very much to Mohammed for
شكرا لك.
partnering with me on this. Thank you very much to Rasha for joining us, for all her input. That was something I wasn't expecting. So you guys, you got an extra special treat because you had the former head of the Arabic booth at New York. So that's a big surprise, a big bonus for you. Mohammed, do you want to?
We need to thank LinkedIn. I just heard about you from there. I go there just to promote my non-profit or the non-profit I volunteer with. And I just found you, and it was a happy coincidence.
Well, if you'd like to, because I mean, if you guys, I'm seeing in the message, I'm seeing some very nice messages there from you in the chat. Ask, there's going to be more, and I would love to do more. It kind of depends on Mohammed or Rasha if they want to. You know, if you would like to repeat this, I really hope it's been useful for you, beneficial for all you guys. Yeah, all I can say is thank you.
Let's have Rasha promise us to come again.
I will, under your guidance, Muhammad.
لا
أبدا. It was a pleasure, honestly.
العين ما بترتفع على حاجة ست رشا.
لا نحن بنقول الدقن تحت والشوارب فوق. أهلا فيكم بدقنك.
الله يخليك.
أنا الدقن يا محمد. هلا حبيبي. 100 أهلا وسهلا فيكم كلكم.
I will be posting this episode. Hopefully, I've successfully recorded this. I will be posting this as an episode on the interpretation station. For any people who've tuned in that weren't there at the start, and because I said my only price for this is if you just please subscribe to the interpretation station YouTube channel. I have to repeat this. You know, this is my salesman pitch. If you just subscribe to the channel, and I've got there's also the website, theinterpretationstation.org is the website. So just keep following me. Follow me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where I put all the announcements for any new workshops that there will be. I'm fairly confident we'll have more if you've enjoyed it, guys. Thank you to everyone. Please, can everyone just give a round of applause to Mohammed for guiding us through this? Just put your thing and give Mohammed a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you guys. All the very best to everyone. Can I just ask Mohammed and Rasha?
Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. If Mohammed and Rasha could just stay behind, I just want to say a couple of words.
Sure. Thank you very much, everyone. What a pleasure to end the weekend.
شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا للكل.
شكرا ليكم.
شكرا للجميع.
Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Rasha. Everybody, Roland, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mohammed, for your advices.
شكرا ست مارغريتا.
So that was that, ladies and gentlemen. That was the first Interpretation Station Sunday at 6 workshop for Arabic speakers. I hope you enjoyed it. Massive thanks once again to Mohammed Asi, and also to Rasha Ajel Queen for their, I think you'll agree, invaluable contribution. I think that was really great to be able to have them on the workshop, and I do very much hope that we can repeat this exercise. Guys, the links, as I say, to all those texts that we did, find them in the description box. Remember to smash the like button if you enjoyed the show, share with your friends and colleagues, subscribe, visit the website, all the usual jazz, as I say. And that's pretty much it. So with that, all that remains to be said is that episode 111 of the Interpretation Station stands adjourned.